What's the haps? I'm John, aka Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. So, I'm in Diamond Rock Tier 3 on Elite today because I forgot to change it to Advanced, so meh, it's mostly undead. That's where we are now. I can deal with Elite mostly, usually. But a bunch of festive zombies, they're okay. I can deal with festive zombies. So first things, I would like to apologise for my conduct in last Thursday's video, which was the Grinchlin Assault video. I opened that video with actually a sort of a personal attack on some people's, and that was unprofessional. I don't actually apologise for what I said, because I meant it. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't mean it, but I should not make personal attacks on people in these videos. It's kind of not cool. However, the upshot of that is that one of the people I may have mentioned was in fact, I'm not sure if he's guild master or an officer. Either way, he had the power to kick me out of the guild, and his reaction to me making such comments was to kick me out of the guild. So, I'm now guildless. If anybody wants a mildly entertaining, semi-successful YouTuber in their guild, I'm now looking for a guild, so yeah, okay. So apparently Dark Hearts doesn't want me anymore, or at least one person doesn't want me. I can't speak for the rest of them, but they don't get a say in the matter apparently, so yeah. Whatevs. Anyway, I've no idea which route I'm supposed to be taking. One of these has got loot and one of these has got a path. I'm going to try this one. So with that out of the way, let's try some Spiral Knights news, shall we? Some Spiral Knights news, which I would hope you're aware of it. I put out... How many videos did I put out on this subject last week? 3. I think I put 3 videos out on Winterfest last week. Jeez, that's a lot of cats. Let's try and finish them off with a sword instead of shooting them, because they've got a lot of projectiles. Jeez, that is actually a crazy amount of cats. So yeah, Winterfest. Winterfest is here. This has been established. Like I say, I've done 3 videos on the subject. Everybody else who does Spiral Knights has done videos on the subject. It's hard to miss. The only thing to add is that there is, again on the social media feeds, there are some GIFs of the new weapons in action. And guess what? They look much the same as the weapons that they are reskins of. So it's not really anything particularly fancy. There's 3, obviously Eurydice's trying to foster a little bit of interest in the subject matter by going, ooh, which one's your favourite? And I think, well, they're all the same as they always were. They're not actually terribly interesting weapons. It's a monumental grind for a weapon that you could already get, unfortunately. So I can't say I'm too enthused about any of them. So I'm certainly not going to waste my time and sparks. It looks like I made the right choice in the route here. I'm going to waste my time and a ridiculous amount of sparks getting reskins. I'll leave that for people with more skill or money than sense. Not sure which. I am neither of those, so that's not me. So that's pretty much the news. A couple of GIFs. That's the slow news week, I think, is what that one falls under. So I'm not going to answer anyone's questions today because I've got a thing that I want to talk about myself. I've got my own thing because it's coming up to the end of the year. It's around this time of year that we start looking back on the year that has been, and it was about this time last year that I did the Button Mash Gaming Awards. I don't want to do that again because that's kind of fun. So, Gaming Awards for 2013, what's been great in the world of gaming this year? I think, who are the people that do that? I think, is it Spike? I don't think it's actually Spike this year, but Spike Gaming Awards normally goes out this year and everyone goes, look at them, they are a terrible gaming award thing, why are they still allowed to continue? But for some reason they do. And then everyone criticises their choices, and I paid no attention to what's won what, so meh. I'm not going to criticise their choices, I'm just going to ignore their choices, I'm going to make my own. And bear in mind, this is me, this is going to be based on, let's be honest, mostly indie games, and I can only really choose from things I've played. I have not played most of the big AAA titles, so I will not be judging them. I cannot, for I have not played them. These decisions, as much as I call it the Button Mash Gaming Awards, again, it's not really anything particularly affiliated with Button Mash as an organisation, it's just my own choices. me talking about stuff that I've enjoyed from the last year. So, let me go grab that pill, and then we'll be on our merry little way. Woo, there we go. Okay, so whereas the other ones usually, again, there's a lot of debate as to what are good categories to award things on. Your standard ones are, oh, best platformer, best shooter, best, you know, all the standard genres. They judge them on genres on platforms. Best Xbox game, best PlayStation game, best PC game, best handheld game, and, you know, the usual suspects. Those aren't really great ones, especially when you consider that most games are multi-format these days, and even within a specific genre, there can be a lot of variance. I mean, would one compare something like Call of Duty, which is a first-person shooter, to something like Tower of Guns, which is also a first-person shooter? Well, no, you wouldn't, because they're not really the same thing. One's a heavily multiplayer-focused modern military shooter, the other's a very cartoony, roguelike gauntlet thing, I suppose. I don't know, difficult to classify. But, you know, your standard gaming awards would probably lump the whole dang lot in together just because they feature guns, and, you know, guns are the common feature, so what are we comparing here? The size of the barrel? You know. So, I'm going to go with slightly more pretentious, but probably more sensible choices of things to award things on. So first up, we shall begin with the best soundtrack. For no other reason than it was the first thing that occurred to me to pick out a thing for. And I think there can only be one choice on that score. I mean, there are a lot of great soundtracks. That's a weird hybrid block. Strange. There are a lot of great soundtracks these days. Many things. Tower of Guns, as I already mentioned, that has a great soundtrack. But there's only one game this year that I went out and bought the soundtrack and have been listening to endlessly just because the entire thing is so freaking amazing. And that's Risk of Rain. It could never be anything else, I think. Risk of Rain is the finest soundtrack I've heard in a long dang time. And I'm going to have to give my gaming award for best soundtrack firmly to Chris Christodoulou and his soundtrack for Risk of Rain. Next category, best story. And the best story of the year goes to Call of Duty. No, wait, no. I haven't even played that, so I don't think it has a story other than shoot towel heads, you know. I think that's pretty much it. It's just dem tourists and all that. Shoot the tourists. No. There are a lot of great stories in the indie gaming scene, and two of them stand out by a long mile to me. I will, before I announce those two, I'll say I played Hate Plus. Hate Plus by Christine Love, or Love Conquers All Games, as she's actually called her company now. I don't think she had a company name back when she did her first few games. I thoroughly enjoyed the first title in the series, which was Analog, A Hate Story, and I was expecting more of the same with Hate Plus. Unfortunately, it kind of didn't live up to the first one. The first one mixed other elements of gameplay in with a lot of heavy narrative stuff, and the second game was no real gameplay at all, just almost entirely narrative, and not even especially enthralling narrative at that. Not compared to the first one, anyway, it was lacking something, so I'm a little bit disappointed about that one. I wanted that to be one of the best stories of the year. When I bought that, I was thinking, this is going to be an amazing story, it's going to be one of the best reads of the year. Not really much to play, mostly reading, but it's going to be great. Turned out, unfortunately, it wasn't. A little bit upset about that. It's still a great game, it's still worth buying and playing, but play the first one first and see if you want more, I would say. But bear in mind that it's not going to be quite as top-notch as... Where have these all come from? They're not going to be quite as top-notch as the first one. So the games that I would say stood out by a country mile for story are Dust, An Elysian Tale, and Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Both of those are incredibly powerful emotional stories, capable of making a grown man cry, so that's a pretty good metric to go by. Oh god, the cat's got a hat. It's a cat in a hat. You know what? There's no way to get past that guy. Fine, I didn't want a gem anyway. Gems suck. So, both of those were excellent. Dust... I didn't think anything was going to top Dust, and then... Brothers gave it a very, very strong run for its money. It was a hard choice to make. I think, of the two, I would probably give my vote to Dust, but I would say both are very, very much worth checking out. They're both just beyond compare of anything else that's been out this year. They're both outstanding titles. Unfortunately, if I have to make a decision, it's going to be Dust. Okay, how I do this room? Something to do with a key, right? Okay, that worked out okay. So, next award is for the best writing of any game this year. Again, and that's perhaps, one might argue, some degree of overlap with the story, because obviously a story needs to be written. But, I don't know, the way I've decided this, it feels distinct. Basically what I wanted to do is give this to a Stanley Parable. Stanley Parable's writing is astonishingly amazing. It's a incredible meta-critique on narrative and stories and tropes in gaming and beyond. An interesting look at the way we do things and perceive things. I can't really say, oh, it's a great story, because it's not. It's a large collection of lots of little stories, really, if anything. And the writing for all of them is excellent. None of them stands out in a way that, oh, this is so much more memorable than anything else. But as a collection of works, it's incredible in its own right. Which is why it does not receive Best Story, but it definitely receives Best Writing. So next award would go to Best Art Style. Ow, took too long over that one, because I'm dawdling and reading notes. The Best Art Style, there's nothing in this room. Why is this room here? There are a lot of games with fantastic art styles out at the minute, because obviously in the indie development scene, you end up with games that, well, can't compete graphically with the likes of graphical powerhouses looking like Battlefield and whatnot. In your AAA scene, everyone's striving to be the greatest looking thing in the world. Everyone's trying to outdo each other, and you're just pushing more and more power at it. And, graphically, things really haven't changed dramatically much, and aren't likely to do so now. The more power you throw at it, the less return you get for each incremental improvement, so... Honestly, I don't think graphics are really going to get much better than they currently are, and they're not going to really change much. Graphics are a terrible one to judge as an award, because everything looks incredible, you know. What, you want me to pick the difference in how realistic the leaves look in GTA compared to Battlefield? Who really cares? I would much rather have a beautiful art style, as evidenced by Mr. Ian McConville's style around here, than anything that just looks hyper-realistic. I want escapism, I want a fantasy world of wonderful colours and styles and things. That's my cup of tea. And the indie game certainly doesn't disappoint in that regard. There are a lot of great styles that I've very much enjoyed. Who have I picked? I have picked... As a runner-up, I had to go with Rack, just because it's not... I would like to give it some credit insofar as it's a style that's not been done in a very long time, and I'm glad to see it make a return. It's a style of such games as predominantly, I note 13. 13 was, I played it on the GameCube, I think it was on the Xbox and PlayStation and probably even PC as well at the time. And that was a great sort of cel-shaded comic book style thing, and it looked fantastic. And that sort of comic book cel-shaded thing has fallen by the wayside a bit in recent times, so I'm glad to see Rack bring that back. However, like I say, it's not an original style, it's a style from a few years back that's been rehashed. As much as I like it, it's not the best new style I've seen in a long time. I would give this, again, I may harp on about this game a bit too much over the next 10 minutes or so. In fact, I will do. I know I will, because I loved this game. But Dust. It's got a fantastic hand-drawn style. The art was all done by one person. Everything in the game was hand-drawn by one man. The same man who coded the game as well. The guy did pretty much everything. He made the game and did the art style, which is not normally two talents you get together. Most people, if they're working in games, are good at coding or good at art. So you often find a duo, one does the art, one does the coding, or a programmer might outsource the artwork to somebody else. Generally speaking, you don't find somebody who can do everything on a game, but this game was made by one man, and he did a fantastic job with the art style. It is a beautiful looking game, and also well worth your time checking that out on that grounds. I mean, don't read the forums, by the way. If you read anything like the Steam forums, you'll see a lot of discussion threads that are, oh, it's a furry game, because, well, the style of the game is anthropomorphic animals. And unfortunately, in recent internet culture, anthropomorphic animals sort of have become synonymous with, well, a rather weirdly sexualized culture. I mean, if you're into that, you're into that, but that's not what this game is. This game is, it may be animals, and they may be talking and going on adventures and things, but it's nothing to do with that. It just happens to be the style that works. I mean, if one thinks back to, if we go back, I don't know, about 20 years or so, before the internet was, you know, a big thing, and furries started becoming a thing. We had such things as, I don't know, like Disney. Disney had lots of animals. I mean, one of my favourite films was Disney's adaptation of Robin Hood, and that was all animals, and it was a great film. And lots of other things from that era. I'm not sure, I don't think they were Disney films, but that kind of anthropomorphic animals like Fievel Goes West and Secret of Nim, animals talking and doing things and having adventures and whatnot. It's that kind of style, and it's a style that it does work well. And I don't think it should be dismissed just because a few people have sort of perverted the style, shall we say. So definitely worth checking out, and it's not what everyone's told you it is. So, without rambling too much longer on Dust, let's move on to the next category, which is Best Voice Acting, which there are two notable candidates for this. And two people have done an excellent job. There was some decent voice acting in Dust as well, I suppose, if I'm going to carry on harping on it, which I am. But I'm not going to include that. In Dust, there were a lot of voice actors from all over the place, and the quality actually varies a bit. As far as I could make out, I think the voice acting was probably like the one bit of the game that was outsourced to, well, voice actors, because I don't think one man's capable of doing that many voices. Except for me, perhaps I am. Maybe I could do that, as we've seen in my Cherry Tree High series. No, I can't. But yeah, the one thing he did outsource was voice acting, and presumably these voice actors did it on their own equipment, and their equipment may have varied in quality, because obviously it wasn't done in a studio. They'll have recorded the sound files and sent them to him, which has just reminded me that a while back I agreed to do some voice acting for Green Link's radio play and totally forgot to do that. Sorry, Green Link, I'll try and get on that one ASAP. I want to totally slip my mind. In that note, yes, the quality varies on that one, so I can't, and there's no one artist in there. Like I say, it's a group of them. None of them stood out to such a degree that I would say, yes, you are the voice artist of the year. No, I can't do that. But there were two that were exceptional. One is from the Stanley Parable. Bringing up the Stanley Parable again. The narrator from the Stanley Parable, who's never referred to as anything other than the narrator, is... He's got a great voice, he's charming, he's witty, he's entertaining. I have no idea how much was improvised of it. I think some of it probably was, but I don't know how much was improvised and how much was written. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find some of that was improvised. I think he's a great talent, and I'm surprised I've not found his work elsewhere. Either that's or he does an array of voices, many of which are different and unrecognizable. But usually, you know, if one voice actor's in something, you can often spot them in something else. You're like, oh yeah, that's the same guy. There's one voice actor. Back when I played console games and things, came up on quite a few guys. Cam Clark, he's got a very distinct, recognisable voice, and you can pick him out a mile away. But this guy, I think he needs to be in more things. Somebody hire the narrator from the Stanley Parable, because he needs to be entertaining our lives more often, I think. The other one would be... I actually know the name of the voice actor in this instance. I don't actually know who the narrator's voice is. I should have done my research beforehand. I didn't. But the other one would be Will Stamper. And this is probably the only console game on the list. It does remain an indie game, actually, but it is the only console game I have listed. And this is Battle Block Theatre, Again, it's just a narrator, I suppose. It doesn't actually... He's never actually referred to by any other name other than narrator. But the narrator from Battle Block Theatre was also, I think, a hilarious character, a great voice, and I'm pretty sure he's also something of a comedic talent. I think he's... I would imagine a lot of his dialogue's ad-libbed on that score. I think that's great. And I want to give the award to Will Stamper for the narrator in Battle Block Theatre. For a voice talent outstripping all others. I think he works for the Behemoth, so perhaps we will see him in future Behemoth titles. Again, it would be a great voice to see in other titles, but even if it's only in future Behemoth titles, that would be great. Also, as a side note, I really, really, really want them to bring Battle Block Theatre to the PC. I really, really do. There has been no news. They've said they want to do that, but they have not made any announcements. I mean, they brought Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers to Steam, so it seems potential that they might do that. But for the moment, no official news on it, so I shall continue to hold my breath, I think, on that one. So, we are running out of categories, I think. I do not have that many categories, so best overall game, I think. Best overall game. What is the best title of the year? Well, I think there can only be one choice. And it's got... Oh wait, there's two different Grievous? Sure, okay. Why not? Two different Grievous, sure. Fire and Ice. In a fiery level? Wait, what? Okay. I don't even know. Boom! That's got to kill him, right? No. Come on, die! Die, you monsters. It's the best overall game. What is the best overall game? It has got to be, it can only be, there is only one choice. And I think it's Soda Drinker Pro. Just for the supreme soda drinking experience. No other game has quite compared to Soda Drinker Pro in the realism and detail of the soda drinking experience, allowing one to experience sodas in such diverse situations as at the park and in space. It's beyond compare, it really is. No, I'm kidding. I got sorry. Lord, coughing fit. Wow, that serves me right for being silly. No, I can't keep up the charade that that's the best game ever much longer. I can't keep a straight face. Come on, throw the bomb down. Right, and get out. Boom, come on, bombard them from orbit. They got one on. That's okay. I thought that was going to be absolutely, you know, pitiful. Not too bad. Actually, each of those shots did 200, which is more than one of my crit shots here, so that's pretty cool. So, no, it's not Soda Drinker Pro. It is... Okay, it's a very difficult decision. I think you probably already picked up on which titles I've adored this year. I would like to... Can I have a 3-way tie? Yeah, I can. It's my awards. I'll give it any tie I want. I want a 3-way tie, and I'm going to have to give this to... Dust, An Elysian Tale, Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, and The Stanley Parable. All of those are equally phenomenal this year. They're all well worth your money. You should either pick them up immediately, or there'll probably be a Christmas sale just around the corner, and you can pick them up then for... Why would I want a blue? I don't want a blue. In fact, I want a yellow. There we go. That's what I needed. So you can pick them all up, probably at a discount in the near future, but I would still suggest you pick them up at full price, because they're totally worth the full price. Absolutely, every bit of it. As a runner-up, I would also note... Risk of Rain, because I've played... Maybe my opinion's coloured by the fact that it's a fairly recent title, but I've been playing so much of that over the last few weeks. It's such a good game. Soundtrack, the gameplay, everything about it. It's just... It's quite amusing in places, like item descriptions and stuff are quite funny. They do... A lot of effort's gone into making the writing humorous. And it's just all round an excellent title. It's totally worth picking up. So add that onto your Christmas shopping list as well. Risk of Rain. Buy it, play it, love it. That's not a request, that is a frickin' order. Oh god, I'm going to get killed, aren't I? Yeah. Ah! Pill. There we go. Let's kill him. He's a nuisance. And Wolver, you're probably my next biggest threat. Boom, you're dead. Right. So that leaves us with but one remaining category, and I would say that is looking to the future. The one to watch for 2014. What game should you be looking out for? What game indeed? And I have done a review of this, so you can go check it out, see what I've given, well, first impressions, as it were, of the alpha version. But it's, at the minute, it's beautiful and very compelling gameplay, and it's something you should definitely have a look at and add to your shopping list. Judging by Steam, they appear to be aiming for entering early access as of January 7th, so you can pick it up and play through the alpha then, if you want to get in on it. But Secrets of Reticon, or Raticon, or Reticon, or however, everybody pronounces that one differently. They even did a silly video showing... They went and asked as many different indie devs as they could. Can you make a short video telling us how you think our game's pronounced? And everybody came back with different things, and it's pronounced a million different ways, and it's quite entertaining. So I think that game has a lot of potential, and I think it looks beautiful and should totally be checked out. Should be keeping an eye on that one for 2014, because I think it could shape up to be an amazing title. And a lesser note, definitely something I've got my eye on, but it's really kind of hyped up. It's on the PS4 and everything now. It's kind of, oh my god, everyone's talking about it, so you probably know about it. It's less of a big deal. It's less of one that requires my pushing, whatever. That's the word. Octodad Deadliest Catch. I think that's also popped up on Steam as coming out soon as well, so you can actually stick that on your wish list or something to remind you about it. I know I have. So I played the demo of that at PAX last year. Well, only this year actually, we're not into 2014 yet. I played that at PAX this year. That's a lot of fun. You should totally be looking to check that one out as well. So that does seem to have been in development forever though, but hopefully it will be out before the end of 2014. I think that's their goal. I would like to imagine it might be. That's one to keep an eye on too. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's also Deja Barnes' Elegy for a Dead World that's currently in development, and I think that could be quite an, well, artsy-fartsy pretentious title, but I like that, so that's my kind of thing. So, that about wraps up the Button Mash Gaming Awards 2013. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments or anything to say or ask me about, please leave it in the comments below. As I've said before, I will write it down and keep an eye on it. Even if I do like weeks like this where I don't answer anyone's question, it will still be stored for future weeks. I've got a few things from other people, and more stuff is always great. I love hearing from people. Please comment in the comments, because that's what the comments are for. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, that helps me out a bunch, and if you're not already subscribed, please do so. I'll be making content all the freaking time, at least one video every day I aim for. So thank you very much for watching again. I've been Meroka, I shall see you next time. Yeah!